Well, here's a few news articles that I thought were interesting. There's a lot of crime in San Francisco. It gets lots of nationwide coverage, especially from Fox. But this small business has it's a hardware store, and now they're just going to have one of the staff escort everybody that goes in to shop, just to watch to make sure you're not stealing stuff. Because apparently, what I hear, I haven't gone down there to see it, is people just go in, fill whole bags with stuff, go out and just sell it on the street, and just do it over and over, and the cops do nothing. There was an interesting graph that came out last week where a guy showed the number of traffic arrests or citations in San Francisco, and how at the start of 2020 it fell to zero and never came up. Because that's what I noticed. The cops seemed to be on strike. They just stopped doing anything and never resumed. So I think there are a lot of reasons. For one reason, the new DA prosecuted a policeman after promising she wouldn't, and made them mad. And also, I think they have actually a bunch of rules making it very difficult. Like, I think they won't do anything about a crime where you steal less than $900 worth of stuff, which is why you can just go in and fill a bag with stuff over and over, and they'll never do anything about it. Anyway, so you probably heard about this. A bunch of tech billionaires around here want to make their own city. They are planning to make their own city in, I think, Sonoma County, and they're figuring it out. California Forever is the CEO of this. This reminds me of the people that were going to make crypto islands a few years ago. They were going to make crypto investors that would go live on their own islands so they could live in like paradise for just rich people. And that's the plan here. So they're finally talking about how many people they're going to put there. There's some serious problems, like there's no water. And so anyway, they're trying to claim that it won't be a burden on the neighboring community, but that is probably another lie, like those promises usually are. Anyway, we'll see what comes of it all. It's not easy to do in California, so we'll see if they succeed. So this one is one of the consequences of working from home. This man, his wife, was involved in like a corporate merger or something, so he just listened to her calls and invested in that stock, knowing it was going to go up. Made a pile of money. Then, of course, they noticed, because they watch for insider trading. They watch if you or your family invest in the stuff. And so he got busted, so she, of course, divorced him, and they're screaming and yelling and all that. So anyway, it's a low-tech solution. He was just in the same room of her making phone calls about the merger. So I thought it was common knowledge, if you're in a family, you would tell the rest of your family members what the rules are. But anyway, kind of stuff happens. And so there's two. OpenAI has now announced a version where you type in something and it will make a video about it. And I know all these large language models have had this ability for a while, for various ones, but apparently the OpenAI one is considered very good. However, this is Sora, their new model, but this guy, the chief scientist at Meta, thinks it's useless. Now, his claim is the original plan, they claim that you can simulate the real world this way. So basically inventing the holodeck, which you could say. He says, but what he points out is the technical way they're doing it is stupid. They're designing the image pixel by pixel. And that, of course, is very expensive, like ray tracing. And what would be much cheaper is to design the objects, like an animal with a limb and a hinge, and then have mathematical representation of the object. It's really very much like the difference between pixel images and vector images. And anyway, he's arguing about that technical detail and says the way they're doing it is so expensive in computing time it'll never be practical. But that sounds to me like just an issue to deal with an upgrade. But anyway, this Tyler Perry was going to build a $800 million studio with like 20 sound stages, and he's canceled the whole thing after seeing this Sora. He said, forget it. I'm not going to have to make environments. I'm not going to have to make backgrounds. I'm not going to have to sit for makeup. We're just going to do it all with AI. And maybe this current generation of the product won't do it, but I suppose he's right. I mean, that's the point. You should be able to make a virtual environment and make... it seems like he's probably right. This seems like one of the areas where you really will lose a lot of human jobs to AI, because making like a movie set does seem like something that an AI could do in a simulated way, much cheaper and faster and easier than hiring humans to build all those sets. So Reddit, there's huge upheaval in all the social networks. You know, Musk bought Twitter and ruined it with his political stuff. But the fact is, most online communities are going down. The newspapers are going down. You know, things are changing. and the old ways of making money aren't working. And Reddit is apparently going away. Reddit is one of the big social networks on the internet. A lot of people love it, but they're talking about having an initial public offering, which would turn it from a startup where they just don't seem to care about money to a commercial business where they have to make money, and the users feel like this would be the end of it, which would logically be the case, I would think. But we'll see, but probably. Yeah, I know other ones, like the one I used to use, Stack Exchange, is pretty much ruined because it's all full of junk created by AI. And now you can just go to AI and ask it how to write a program, rather than going to Stack Exchange, and they've discovered, that's another thing where the competition is very stiff. Now, the current generation of large language models aren't that good at writing code, but they're getting better. And it just seems like it's a dying industry. And so this is pretty amazing. This, I think, is American. There are proposed rules that would say if you have a IT system and you're a government contractor and they have a cyber incident, they will demand full access to all your systems. Now, I did a project years ago where I scanned a bunch of college networks for malware. And I found malware in like 23 colleges. And I contacted them, said, I'd like to see what the malware is. Nobody would talk to me because, of course, the idea of letting a stranger come in from outside and look at your network is not something you invite. Clearly, there are privacy consequences and everything else. I didn't think of all that through, but this is the issue. Now the government wants to come in, and people are saying, wait a minute, this is crazy. You can't demand free full access. Now, there are things where you have to notify them and tell them what's going on, tell them how many people were affected, tell them when you expect it to get fixed or something like that. But giving full access to the systems is asking a lot. So they're pushing back. We'll see what happens. This is the same. Law enforcement always wants more and more and more access to everything, and the privacy advocates want to push them back. And people often want to push them back just for the functionality of their networks, too. One thing that is important to realize is that the government is much less competent and less secure than many companies, and they know that. So like Obama wanted to end passwords by having an official U.S. government ID where you'd log in with the government, that would be your password to everything. And one of the many problems with that is that the U.S. government is terrible at keeping secrets and keeping their system secure. You'd probably be a lot better off with Google. And so that never went anywhere. Obama proposed a lot of crazy things and then just pretended it didn't happen the next day. That was like the Red Line in Syria. And he was a good professor. People said the problem with him is he was a lone wolf. It was his way or the highway. He didn't talk to his cabinet and get advice and discuss things. He would just declare something and expect them to follow him. So things would get out there that probably would have been caught if you'd had a discussion first. Anyway, so these guys want to make special Linux that runs only in a virtual machine and is as small as possible. And they say this will cut down bloat. It seems to me like the end result is essentially like a container. That's essentially what... But anyway, it's another version of the thing, and they say it's going back to something called Plan 9, which was an early version of Unix. Anyway, it's another option to have a stripped-down Linux to run only in a virtual machine, but no unnecessary parts, just to distribute something which would run faster, be smaller, and therefore be more secure. So anyway, might be good. So let me stop this.